Hi there, Python trainer Reuven Lerner here. I use Jupyter all the time. The Jupyter Notebook is my go-to for every time I'm teaching, every time I want to share data with my students, with my clients, every time I want to experiment with some Python code. Indeed, I call Jupyter my Python laboratory because I can do all sorts of experiments with it. And in this video, I want to show you some of the shortcuts that I've discovered, which are right there in the documentation, right? These are not secrets, but it took me a while to discover to really get going with Jupyter. So first of all, you'll see here that I have the title. And basically, I want to hide this, but I first want to change the title. So I'm just going to click on this here, and I can rename this to whatever I want. So I can say here, Jupyter Keyboard Hints Video. Very clever title. Now, this is actually the name of the file. So on my file system, it'll be Jupyter Keyboard Hints Video.ipynb. And ipynb stands for IPython Notebook. IPython is the old name for Jupyter. And now I'm just going to hide this. View, toggle header. Okay, so far so good. So now watch this. We are normally, when we type into Jupyter, when we enter code or edit code, we're inside of the cell. So I can say here print hello, and print goodbye, and print whatever. And of course my code is there inside of the cell. And every time I press enter, we go down one line. If I want to run that cell, I could use one of these tools in the toolbox. Quite frankly, I almost never use the tools in the toolbar here. So I'm going to hide it. Toggle toolbar away. So how can I actually execute the code inside this cell? Shift enter. And when I press shift enter, all the code executes. And since I'm printing, all three of the lines there are going to print something out. What if I say, though, 10 plus 10, 20 plus 20, 30 plus 30? When I press shift enter now, we only see 60. Does that mean the first two lines in that cell did not execute? No, not at all. They did execute. But 10 plus 10 is an expression. It returns a value. And typically in Python, an expression that's not printed and not assigned somewhere is just thrown away. And that's indeed exactly what happens in Jupyter. 10 plus 10, it calculates 20, throws it away. 20 plus 20 calculates 40, throws it away. 30 plus 30 calculates 60, but it does not throw it away because it's the final line in our cell. And so the final line in a cell, if it's an expression, always returns a value. Okay, none of this is keyboard shortcuts, but very useful, important to know about Jupyter. So in here, when I'm in here, this is known as edit mode. And you can see that the entire cell has a green outline. Whereas if I click here on the left, you'll see now everything has changed to have a blue outline. And that is known as command mode. And command mode is totally different from edit mode, because in edit mode, I'm actually, editing, I'm typing text. Whereas in command mode, I'm actually not entering code. I'm telling Jupyter what I want to do. And we're going to see a whole lot of these command mode commands now within Jupyter. So the first thing is, how do I move back and forth between command mode and edit mode? It's really easy. If I'm in command mode, blue outline, I can press enter, and look, now I'm back in edit mode. I'm in edit mode. And now if I press escape, blue outline again, now I'm back in command mode. All right, so enter to be in edit mode, escape to be in command mode. So when I'm in command mode, what can I do? Well, in command mode, I'm actually modifying my notebook. I'm giving Jupyter commands. And there are a lot of commands. In fact, a good first command to know in command mode is H. H is for help. And because I'm on a Mac, you'll see that it's going to show things with the Mac modifier keys like Command and Control and Option. If you're on another kind of computer, as if those exist, right? But if you're another kind of computer, then it'll show you your modifier keys. And there are a ton of these shortcuts. We are not going to go over all these shortcuts because, quite frankly, I don't know all of them. I've just discovered a whole bunch of useful ones, and I expect to hear in the wake of this video from you with some suggestions for additional ones. So what can I do in command mode? Well, let's first enter a bit of code. So I'm going to say here x equals 100. I'm going to say here y equals x times 2. And I'm going to say here z equals y, x, x. All right, so now if I look at z, we've got 200, 200, 100, 100. It's a list. All is good. So now I've entered this code. What might I want to do with these cells? Well, one thing I might want to do is copy and paste them. So I can copy one cell here. I click on it, or I can just go into command mode, and I can press C. C just like Command C or Control C. And then I can go down, and I can either go down by clicking with the mouse, or I can move my cursor down, see? And then I do V. V just like Command V or Control V. I'm pasting. So I have copied and pasted a cell. What if I want to do this cell? Well, I can do two. Copy, paste. And I can go up here and do copy, paste. But this is getting really boring and annoying, right? Shouldn't I be able to do a bunch of them at once? Absolutely. You can use C for copy, V for paste, and X for cut. So watch this. I'm actually going to highlight all of these cells, and you can do it with shift clicking with your mouse, and now they're all blue. Or if I'm just down there, I can do shift up arrow, and now I've highlighted all of them, and now I can do X to cut. There we go. And now I can take all these, C for copy, go down to the bottom, V for paste. And now I've copied and pasted all of these together. So we have C for copy, V for paste, X for cut. What if I make a mistake? What if I cut this? Then I'm like, oh no, I didn't want to do that. I can use Z, and Z does undo. I use Z all the time, I can assure you of that. So by highlighting different cells, you can sort of move them around and copy and paste them as necessary. I should also add that when I'm teaching, a lot of times I'll have some code, let's say x equals 100, and I want to show people something just before that happens. Or maybe I'll want to insert some documentation beforehand. So I go into command mode, and I press A, and A creates a new cell above. Then I press enter, and I can say, the below code is very dangerous. Be careful before running it. Right? And so now when I execute that code, well, nothing really happens because of the comment. And that's fine. So A above creates a new cell above, and B, by the way, B creates a new cell below. So I use A and B all the time. And so you can see here, if I press A, we got a new one above, and I press B, get a new one below. What if I create too many? Well, of course, I can just go up and down and do X, and I've removed those as well. What sometimes happens is I might want to combine these cells in some way. So what I can do is I can highlight all of them. I can say Shift M, and Shift M means merge the cells together, right? That's super convenient. And now, instead of having a bunch of separate cells, they're all together, one big happy cell. What if I want to split things off? What if I'm like, oh, well, I created this together, but I actually want to have it separate? I can use Control underscore. And Control underscore here will split it up. Why Control underscore? I wish I knew. That's Control Shift minus on my keyboard at least. Probably on yours as well. So we're hearing code cells, but there are a few different types of cells that you can have. So code cells, great for code, as you can imagine. But Jupyter also supports Markdown. Markdown is a fantastic way to sort of have a simple version of HTML so you can format things. So for example, right here, I've got this, right? And yes, it's a comment, and yes, it's a good way to document, but wouldn't it be better if I could do that in Markdown and make it like a headline and some text? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into command mode, and I'm going to say M. And M means Markdown mode. And then I press enter to go back into edit mode here. And then I can say here, warning. And then I'll just make this here, right? The below code is dangerous. I'll make it, italic, let's see, but make it boldface. And now when I press shift enter, see how it becomes that way. Now, I have another video about what you can do with Markdown in Jupyter Notebooks. You should realize, though, that Markdown is sort of, it's HTML. It's basically HTML. So you can't have left angle brackets, right angle brackets, otherwise known as less than and greater than. You'll get in all sorts of trouble. But as a general rule, Markdown is great for this kind of documentation. And I must say, I've been starting to use it more and more in my classes as well. By the way, what if you want to switch it back to be a code cell? You go back into command mode and you say Y. Y is for code cells. Why? That's my question. I do not know. Because. And there's a third kind, which is raw cells. And raw cells are just text. So whatever you type in them, that's what's going to be there. I should add that's really common for me to make the mistake of accidentally turning something into a raw cell. And so I have to press Y and it becomes code. Or I can press M and it becomes Markdown. Shift enter. All is good. Okay. So we've gone through just about all the things I want to show you. I just want to show you one more really cool thing, which is I'm now going to highlight all of these cells. Why? Because I'm using the variable x there, and I really don't like using the variable x. I want to use something else. So I'm going to press F. And what is F? F is find and replace. And I'm going to say wherever there's an x, and look at this, it pops up where it found it. And I'm going to say here, my variable. And it's going to show you in red what's being removed and in green what's being put in there. Bam! Right, and now it has replaced all occurrences of x with my variable, which I think we'll agree is a much more appropriate name. So lots of cool shortcuts you can use in Jupyter. Once again, don't forget that you can get help with H. You will undoubtedly find all sorts of cool things that I did not mention here. Let me know in the comments what you find, what you use, and I'll be back soon with more Python, Jupyter, and similar tricks for you to use in your programming work.